You are listening to the 8% Nation podcast, created to help you become a top producer in the insurance industry. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to this week's 8% Nation podcast. We are here with Cody and JR Orenstein. All right, JR, welcome to the group.
What's up, guys?
Hey, we're excited to hang out with you. You're a PNC master race.
Legend.
You're a PNC
Machine.
legend monster. And I'm super excited to get into the captive PNC conversation about what you've learned, what separated you from the pack, what's put you in the top, could I say top 5% of your organization?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could I say top 1%?
Yeah.
Well, top 1% of your captive major organization. Mic drop like you just did.
That's cool.
Did you guys know that you have some in common, that both of your dads got you into the business?
No, I didn't know that, dude.
Did you
That's
know that?
awesome, man.
You're
Wow.
the second generation. Pretty common.
Yeah, you grew up in it.
I did.
That's
I
cool.
did. It was. It made for really interesting dinner time conversations.
Exactly. Do you think that? Okay, real quick. Then I don't know if you were planning on going here or not, but do you feel like that gave you an advantage?
I'd say so. I mean, ultimately it's why I got into the business, was to learn from my father, who was a great agent. So the advantage was having a great mentor, for sure.
Totally. I completely agree.
Well, today we're going to get into PNC, and we're going to do a deep dive. And I went and found the biggest PNC monster I could find out of New York, and that's why JR is on our team, or on our podcast, talking through some things.
Yeah.
So, JR, I'm just going to kind of get into it. This is your show. We want you to kind of help some people out. We have a lot of times we have a younger, newer audience when we do retreats and 8%. It's a lot of people that have been in the business for several years, or just now getting into the business. So we want to try and bring as much value to them as we can today. So, I appreciate you joining us once again. Dude, I just want to kind of help me understand, why you chose, aside from maybe your dad kind of had a book of business or whatever, why'd you go down the PNC route in the first place?
So, like we said, I grew up with a father that was an agent, but I my entire life I said, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to do that. Right? I'm never going to go into insurance. I'm going to follow my own path. I couldn't think of anything less sexy than insurance.
We hear that all the time.
When I was, but when I was in college, I actually studied TV and film production. And out of college, went into the field and had a little bit of success. But when I would spend my time after hours with directors and producers and got to know them, I realized that wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted. I didn't want to be away from home 4 months at a clip. I wanted to, essentially, I wanted a life where I can do really well, but I can be home for dinner and I can, coach my kids a game someday. So I ultimately said, you know what, let me cut it now before too much time goes on. And within a few months, went to my father and said, okay, sell me on why I should even consider insurance. And he sold me, and he said, it's fun to be really good at what you do. You get to help people. And the more people you help, the better the income, and you've got a great lifestyle. So I couldn't argue with that, because I did witness it growing up. And I said, you know what? I promise that I'll give you 6 months minimum to try this out, because I'm coming off of set working with Jennifer Lopez, and now all of a sudden I'm talking about selling car insurance. It's a little bit of a culture shock. Okay? And so I said, I'll give you 6 months, and I joined, and with the plan to ultimately own my own agency someday. And I never looked back. And so that's why I went into it. And I was just following the footsteps. So in terms of why PNC as opposed to another type, it really comes down to that's where the opportunity was. And I was able to learn from my father.
Okay.
You went from, you talk about insurance not being sexy. You went from looking at J-Lo every day to your dad.
That's right. No offense to my father, but he doesn't
Right.
hold up.
Dude, no doubt. That's cool, man.
And not only that, you've stuck with it. How long have you been in the PNC game?
So I joined, got into it in 2003.
2003.
Wow.
Yeah. So not only did you join, you stuck with it. So, and you've been captive this entire time?
Yeah, captive the entire time. So I was a team member from 2003 up until 2007. I opened up my own agency in 2007 and became a competitor of my father's, which was fun.
But I'm sure it was a friendly competition. Did you have you? Is your book bigger than his?
Well, he retired, but he had 30 something years on me. So, we'll get there.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, and you mentioned that real quick. So the dynamic, me and my father are very competitive. I don't know what it is. Even like sports, we could play in freaking poker or ping pong or golf. There's always money on the line or some type of it's just, we're just competitive. Were you guys always, not maybe competitive, business wise, but at least competitive in some way, growing up and that kind of thing?
I was lucky in that my father's always been extremely supportive and doing all he could to give me the tools to be successful. So the dynamic of the relationship wasn't competitive as much as it was kind of a coach and player relationship. And that's how I would look at it.
Good.
Cool. That's
Good.
awesome.
That's great.
So basically, you and your dad have a poor relationship, is what he's saying?
No, yeah. No. But no, we were very competitive. Yeah, very competitive. Maybe it's because I'm a bad listener. Maybe you're a better listener than me. Maybe that's it. I don't know. That's good though. Thank you.
Hey, so you're in New York, right? Like you're in like the Big Apple, baby. You're in like the one of the top markets in the world. So has that helped you or hurt you on the PNC side? I've never really talked to a PNC agent in New York before.
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, I'd say it's a large advantage because we've got huge population density. You talk to agents that are in the Midwest and they're saying, I got to travel 50 miles to see somebody. And within 10 miles, I have access to over 1 million people, right? So huge population density, lots of opportunity there. That's why we do have a lot of competition. Obviously, there's a lot of agents because there's a huge market. We also have some restrictions from an underwriting standpoint because we're deemed a little bit of a higher risk for damage caused by hurricanes. So Long Island, Queens, and Brooklyn, in terms of our corporate rules, and along with corporate rules with a lot of other competition, there are restrictions with either how many houses you can write or where you can write business. But even with all of those restrictions, the bottom line is the opportunity is huge, and it's just a matter of how much you take advantage of it.
That's awesome. So did you nod your head yes when I said you're in the top 1% of this particular? Okay. So that's awesome. So we need to listen to you. Okay. So what have you done to separate yourself from the pack, specifically on the PNC side with this captive agency to put you in the top 1% of thousands of agents?
That's a competitive arena too.
Super competitive, right? So what have you done? Like, help me understand a little bit.
So for one, let me start off by saying that I was trained to go after fire business, right? To going after homeowners and commercial and things like that, okay? But when I came on and started my agency, I got smacked with underwriting restrictions where it was negative growth. I couldn't even grow one policy, okay? And so I had to completely reinvent and relearn how to market myself and a whole new focus. So it took me a little while, not that we didn't get off to a good start. We did well early on, but we're doing a lot better in the last few years. And it's because we kind of had to figure out a new game, So one of the things that was very popular when I first came on, and still popular today, are the companies like Insure Me, right? The lead aggregator companies that are selling to 15 different agents, and they'll say that somebody, requested the quote today, but it really was over a year ago, and they're selling
we call that the
every
enemy.
Single person, right? And then you call, if you actually do get a human being on the phone, they're like, who are you? I just wanted an iPad, and that was a year ago, right? So one of the greatest things that we ever did was cut those off just about entirely. And a lot of agencies are still working those leads because it gives you activity. The problem is that you'd have more success calling the phone book, right? So, and you might as well, honestly, at least they're not getting flooded with 50 calls on the same day, right?
Yeah.
So we decided to say, you know what, we're not getting a return on this. My team was spending all of their time hunting, just trying to track down these people who, are shutting their phones off, saying, I'm done. I'm getting too many phone calls, and screaming at us saying, we've already spoken to you. Meanwhile, we never spoke to anyone. They just spoke to everybody else, right? And so when we made the decision to say, we're going to put a focus on developing our network of relationships and earning referrals from our existing book, that's when we saw an uptick in our sales and by far in our growth, because now we were getting much, much better clients on the book, not the ones that, are leaving you every 6 months, which is really important. Depending on what company you're with, there's some incentive to get a high volume and turn and burn, and it's okay to have a high lapse cancellation ratio. But ultimately, if you want to grow, you need to write good business. And that means you have to have clients that you have a relationship, that trust you, and are the type of clients that are going to respect the services and the advice that you're offering. So when we made that move to going after the right clients and not, hunting the wrong type of client, that's when we started to see us going in a different direction.
Yeah. Interesting. I've heard it said, hunt mammoths, not rabbits. If you're hunting rabbits, you're going to have a lot of rabbits. You know what I mean? So hunt the mammoth.
Apparently rabbits run away.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Chase 2 rabbits, catch none. What else, man? I mean, I'm sure that's not, the only thing you had on Lead Source.
Well, yeah.
We have put a lot of emphasis on building our own brand.
Yeah, because you mentioned market yourself. Yeah, walk me through that, because that was what caught my eye. We both looked at each other when you said that, like market yourself, which is all we do every day. What are some things you've done in your space to market and brand yourself as the expert in your arena?
Yeah, so when you are a captive agency, obviously there's a big corporate name, and for a lot of agencies, that's the name that you push. Understandably, right? It's a big name. People know the name. Instant credibility. There's advantages for that, right? The thing is that if the only brand you're pushing is another, someone else's company, right? Not your own individual agency, then the customers think of you all as the same, right? So try to convince somebody to, instead of going to the, let's say, TD Bank or the Chase that's down the block, that they should deal with the one that's 20 miles away. Most people would never do that because they say, well, they're all the same, right?
Yeah.
Why should I deal with someone that's 20 miles away? So we go out of our way. When we answer the phones, we answer the phone as the J.R. Orenstein agency. We never even mention the corporate brand because we want everyone to know that they're our client, not the client of the big dog, right? So we make sure that we are constantly reaffirming that their experience is their experience with our customers. And we build the relationships individually with my team members. So in my office, most of the business, most of all the transactions, it's not done by me. I'm not on the front lines doing the selling. I want my team members developing their own networks and developing deep relationships with the customers as well as business referral partners. And that's what keeps people coming to us, is because they are connecting with a human being, not with a name of a corporation.
Right on, man. How long did it take you to figure that out? Or was that like right immediate deal, or was that like, you know what, I'm done with this in 2009 or whatever? You know what I mean?
It was far from immediate. I'd say probably in the last 2 years is when I started investing a lot of my time and energy into rebuilding our brand and our vision as an agency, and how we're going to grow. And so just spending a lot of time, reading or doing audiobooks and learning about brand and management and sales. Eventually you see themes among all the different books and what all the gurus have to say. And, when you think about whether it's 2019 or it's 2029, your brand is going to be everything, right? Because especially with, what we don't know how technology is going to affect our business. But what I do know is if in the future someone's going to be asking Alexa for an insurance quote, all right, it's likely it's not going to be going to the J.R. Orenstein agency. What I have to do is I have to build a brand that's so good that people are asking Alexa for my number. They're going to be asking for my agency.
Cool.
Right.
Good.
So what we're trying to do every day is to build that brand, especially with Hearsay, with building, having our customers be our biggest advocates and spreading the word about wanting to do business with us.
That's awesome, man. It's a
Really
big shift.
good.
It's a big shift.
Really good.
So it sounds like too, I'd like for you to elaborate a little bit on, because it may have been from fire insurance to auto insurance for you, but there's probably plenty of people that have had that similar, oh my gosh, this market isn't exactly as lucrative as what I was taught. I have to pivot. And can you walk us through that pivot from going from, because you've mentioned several times, I had to learn auto insurance. Well, what'd you do? How'd that work out for you? How'd you actually learn that? How'd you pivot to that? Walk me through that, because that's mentioned as a game changer for you.
Yeah. So, auto insurance was always something that, we did. Always been actually a majority of the premium that we always collected. What changed was, early on, I was going after homeowners business by building up relationships with referral partners that were referring homeowners clients to us. And so now I had to say, okay, well, now I need to build a network and have people referring car insurance over to us, right? So that was seeking out business partners that, saw the value in what we can bring and say, hey, call JR or, call one of the team members in JR's office. They're going to help you with the car insurance. They're going to make sure that you have everything that you need, that all of your eligible discounts are included, and, making sure that we're making our referral partners look good, or the customers that are referring their friends and family, that we're making them look good because, we've hooked them up, right?
Can I dive a little deeper? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Can I dive a little deeper in that? Because that's a big, I think, nugget for some people that don't even know what you mean by referral partners. Or could you give somebody, if you were to train a young, auto insurance, producer how to get a referral partner, what would you tell them? What would that look like?
Well, first, either you're going to smile and dial and get enough contacts, or you're going to have to hit the pavement, right? So that's maybe you're going to networking groups, you're going to network meetings, which there are so many now. So whether you're meeting with, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, car salespeople, individuals or dealerships, I'll give you an example. So if we'll get a phone call, let's say from a dealership saying, hey, we've got a mutual client. They're going to be picking up a Mercedes. Can you help me out and get us an ID card and binder? Classic incoming phone call, right? And so, you could have a very transactional conversation and you can say, absolutely, what's the VIN number? Here's this. Okay, I'll email that over to you. Have a nice day. Thanks. Or you can say, hey, by the way, if in the future you have ever a customer that's having a hard time getting car insurance, or maybe the rates are too high and it's killing your deal, feel free to reach out to us and, give our contact information to your customer. Maybe we can help them get the insurance and help you close on the deal, right? It's a win-win-win all the way. So we never miss out on an opportunity for talking to somebody who is a likely referral source to introduce ourselves, let them know what we do, and let them know that we can help them directly if they want to use our services.
Wow,
Well,
that's good.
do you have any follow-up questions on that?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be a common theme of because you're thinking so much and you're stepping back from the business and you're valuing the business and the brand and how do we grow it, and you're thinking bigger and you're thinking about how to scale this thing up. I'm seeing these common themes of trying to take a unique approach compared to what other people would do, because other people wouldn't do that. Other people, probably when they got the phone call of hey, can you help someone, would make it all about them, but you're trying to make it a win-win for everyone, So I see this common theme of trying to be unselfish, trying to think more long-term and less transactional short-term, And I think that's something a lot of agents struggle with because they don't want to be a part of the 92% that fail. They're like so, and I had trouble with this too at times, where I'm so transactional and so like immediate. I got to make money today, or holy crap, I can't eat, and the next thing you know, you've severed or impacted the relationship, so I think that's huge. I love that.
No, it's good, man.
I think that what I tell my team is the ultimate goal with all interactions is to give, right? The goal is to give, and it's simple. But even if it's for the most selfish reason, ultimately, right? The more you give, the more that you're going to get anyway. So you can go into a conversation with somebody thinking, okay, what can I get out of this person? But if you go into the conversation saying, what can I give to this person? You'll get more anyway. So whether you're talking to a customer and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I want to pitch this product because I want to sell this product. They're likely going to smell it on you that you're looking out for yourself. But if instead, and what we do in our office is aim to have more of a discovery conversation where the aim is, let me get to know you. Let me find out what you care about and what you want. Then if you disclose that there is something that you care about and that you want, I'll provide a couple solutions for you. You let me know if that's something that you would like us to help you with. If not, we'll note the file, no problem, right? But it's never coming from an angle of, hey, here's a product I'd like to sell you. It's more, let's ask a couple questions, get to know you. And that is part of our property and casualty and our auto insurance sales process is essentially telling our customers what our process is, which is we'd like to get to know you. We'd like to, find out what you care about, what you want, what you don't want, build a custom plan that's within your budget. And then we'll show that to you. If you want to make any adjustments, we make any adjustments, but we're only going to, show you solutions for the things that you tell us that you care about, right? And so the guard comes down most of the time. And people they're not comparing apples to apples, right? Because especially when you're captive, right? I can't shop, 15, 20 companies, right? So if we play the price game, we're going to lose a majority of the time. So what we find with car insurance especially is that the customer goes into the interaction saying, I'm looking to save money, right? I'm looking for the cheapest price. And if you allow yourself to play that game, you're going to lose, right? And it doesn't even make sense anyway, because if all you're offering is a price, then you're not an advisor. Well, what's the point of being a licensed professional? What are you even offering, right? The person can just go online and get a quote.
Yeah.
So what we do is we explain what we do. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, when a proposal is coming, they're going to see it as apples and watermelons. And they're never going to compare us to what they had originally, because we're never going to be offering what they had originally. Because in 99% of the cases, the customer has no idea what they have. And even if they know technically what they have, they don't know what it really means. They don't know what all the different hypothetical situations are that can come up. So we, ask them questions, let's say, giving examples of common concerns or common things that can have a financially devastating effect on you, and say, is this something that you would want us to help you with, or would you like to handle that on your own, out of your own pocket? If they say, no, I would want you to take care of that, then we include that into the package, And at the end, we're just offering exactly what they told us that they wanted. Could that be $50 more a month? Could that be $100 more a month than they're paying for just car insurance? It could be. And if that's outside of their budget, then we ask them what they would like to take away, what they'd like to strip out of that.
Yeah.
And we'll give them ultimately what we want. But from an advisor standpoint, we consider ourselves, risk advisors, but we don't start off with here's what you need. We're going to tell you how it is. It's more of let's find out what you care about, because my belief is no one buys based on what they need. They actually buy based on what they want, right? And so I can tell somebody all day long, you need this, you need this, you need this. But from my experience, the more you tell somebody what they need, the more they feel like they're going to defend the fact that they don't need it. So it really comes down to how you frame it and then giving them the option so that they've got the control to choose what they want. And when we started making that switch in our process, not only did we see a much better closing percentage, but more policies per household sold.
Patrick Bet David actually did a video on this recently on his YouTube channel. I don't know if you saw it, about the exact similar thing. Not obviously not car insurance, but just about how he goes into every relationship saying, you know, what can I do for you? You know, what problem can I solve for you? How can I help you? And he closed a 7-figure insurance deal, the biggest deal of his career, by doing that, helping somebody with something random that they needed help with. And because of that, they referred him to, like, you know, a gigantic sell. And so, yeah, most people are always focused on what, you know, how it can benefit them. I love that approach.
That's actually my litmus. That's my litmus test of a legitimate person I'm going to do business with. If I'm sitting across the table and they're negotiating with me and pushing and pushing and pushing, then, like, I don't care. They may walk away from that deal with a better transaction than they could have, but I'll never do business with them again. Like, if they're not actively trying to find a win-win,
they typically don't stay anyway.
Well,
if you think about it,
if I feel that out, and if there is, you can tell when someone's trying to sell you, and you can tell when someone's trying to find a win-win. And if they're not trying to find a win-win, then there is no future there. No, regardless if I do business on this transaction or not, because I might need what they have now, but they won't get any referrals. They won't get any future business. It's not because I'm mad at them. It's just because I know the way you think, and I don't want to do business with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I do need that right now today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'll take that thing, but next time I'm gonna go find a different, you know, person to give me that thing. You know, that's my litmus test for real.
That's good. That's really good. That's awesome.
Well, hey man, so I want you to go through, if you can, for a little bit, and then we'll get into just some general business stuff. What are some absolute game-changing moves that you've made in your business that you wish you would have done sooner? So what I'm hoping happens is that you come to 8% Nation in Vegas 2020, baby. You're coming, okay? And I want somebody to come up to you, because you're going to have a big name tag that's going to say your name on it, and they'll be like, I watched your podcast, and I changed the way I do business because of that talk. You will have that if people know who you are, because that's our people, right? So what do you want them to hear?
Okay, so I'd say, one game changer is what we just talked about in terms of changing our sales process, right? From being, okay, let's just buy some crappy leads and give a really fast, quick apples to apples quote, right? So just getting out of that game and going into the value discovery game has been a game changer for our agency. We are more focused on the customer experience, right? So every company will say, well, we've got great, customer service. Every company will say that. And what we've learned is the difference between customer service and customer experience. And customer experience is how does the person feel at the end of the transaction, right? Or end of the conversation. And so we put a lot of focus now more than we ever did before on what's this person going to feel when they get off the phone with us or when they walk out of our agency. So even in our office last year, we changed things up. Some of the stuff sounds silly, but we put in the we put in these essential oil vaping sort of things in the office to make sure that we've got the exact smell that we want in our office, right? We have I make sure that I've got my my music that I've selected for the office for the correct ambiance in the office. I've got an antique looking popcorn machine in the waiting area, which we'll put some popcorn in there, and people they love that. They love the smell. It takes them back, right? And we're just getting into the psyche, and we want people to feel comfortable when they're in the office. Now, of course, most of the business is done over the phone, so that aspect of it is only helping the walk-ins, and we do have a bunch of clients who do walk in, but just the attitude of making sure our customers getting off the phone saying, wow, he or she was really good. She explained everything to me. She didn't try to ram any products down me just, because I was making a payment. And just focusing on what's the customer's experience And are we earning a referral? Because ultimately that's what we want, right? We want to grow and we want as many referrals as humanly possible. So one of the game changers, like I said before, was trying to grow our referrals. So one thing that we do is for all new business, they all get either mailed or emailed a report card, okay? And the report card is a short little survey, just asking them about their experience and what they enjoyed about the experience. And if they would want to ever refer any friends or family to us. And if they are interested, there's lines for that contact information. Well, you'd be surprised how many people either mail that back to us or email back to us with great feedback, with products that they might like more information on, and a few friends and family for us to give a call to. So that gives us a lot of feedback. Another thing we started doing was on all new business, they're getting a follow-up call from our service team doing an introduction phone call. So, you know, their interaction after the sale is made has primarily just been with the salesperson. But we need to let them know that when they got a call up and they've got a billing question or they got a coverage question, I don't want that call going to the salesperson. I need my sales team selling and not getting caught into an hour-long conversation about why do I owe, you know, $3 more this month than I did last month, right? So what we do is we go out of our way and we do a welcome call, and one of our representatives will call up the customer, introduce themselves as being on our customer experience team, and that's where she's going to let them know, okay, here's all of our contact information. Here's where let me help you get set up online. Let me help you get set up with your app so you've got access to everything. Let me explain how our office works, right? So if you've got product questions or you think about buying something, you're going to speak to the sales team. But if you've got coverage questions, customer services, you're going to be speaking to us, right? So this way we're training our customers on how we work, and not so that they're not calling up just asking for the salesperson. That's important. So that's allowed our sales team to focus more on the sales and let our service team, who lives and breathes service, handle the calls that they're supposed to do. So that's helped us become more efficient and have the people who have specialties focus on their specialties. Also, you know, my agency it may not be the largest team, but even so, I've got someone on my team that a big part of their focus is as a claims specialist. Now, the corporation that we work under obviously has claims team, and they got claims representatives, and very standard practices. If a customer calls up and they've got claims questions or they've got complaints, it's okay, well, you can call 1-800, claims department, or maybe you can say, I'll just get the claims rep, on the phone. But the problem is that then we lose all control, right? So we talked before about brand. How can I build my brand and control my brand if I'm outsourcing all the service and being at the mercy of some corporate representative in a different state, right? I can't allow a potentially bad apple to ever mess with my brand and potentially lose a client, right?
And that's more work and more expensive
I make
too,
sure that
to do
I've
that.
got a claims representative that's in my office, that when a claim comes in, when we get an email that so-and-so got into a car accident or they had some water loss in their home, we're making that phone call. We're following up, making sure they have all the information they need, all the contact information they need. Let them know that if at any point throughout the sales process that there's any bumpy roads, if they didn't get a call back when they needed a call back, if they're being told that they're not going to get paid as much as they anticipated, whatever it is, to call us and to get us involved. This way we're making the phone calls, we're doing all the work for them. We're making sure if we have to, expedite, an adjuster going to the scene to look at a car or go to the house, whatever we have to do to help control the situation and come out with a positive outcome where the customer saying, thank you, you helped me. Because the bottom line is, in the insurance world, right, as corny as it sounds, and I was kind of brought up being told this, is that they're not buying the bill, right? They're not buying the piece of paper. They're buying a promise that if something bad happens, they're going to be taken care of. So every time a claim comes in, that's your time to prove that you're worth the money because
Yeah.
they can always find somebody else that's cheaper. So if you don't take care of them when they're coming to you asking and saying that something bad just happened to them, then you don't deserve to keep the client. So I don't want to outsource that. I'm still okay with paying, the wages and the time to have someone in my office take a little bit more control of that experience. And ultimately, I think that helped us maintain our book and allows us to grow at the rate that we've been growing.
Wow, you just added 50 jobs across the country today. So
Responsibility rationing.
someone's gonna
right?
say, that's a good point. I'm gonna hire that person. You know what I'm saying?
That's so good and so brilliant because so many of these small agencies out there, the salespeople spend so much time doing service, or all these small agencies will just push people to the 800 number because it's easy and convenient for them. And gosh, they'll, man,
And
that's
then
just so good.
and then complain whenever the customer service in the big box didn't treat their client right, and then complain and blah blah blah, and write a letter to their supervisor and district manager or whatever, while you're just taking the expense to just take control and be a winner. You know what I mean? Control what you can control.
That was really good.
Yeah, man, dude. Like I
Really
said,
good.
I knew I invited you for a reason, buddy. So I really believe, man, when you come to 8%, you're gonna have people be like, man, like I listened to your podcast and I hired this person because of it. So we have that.
Wow.
We have that kind of reach, man. So I appreciate that knowledge bomb and wisdom. So would you mind? You mentioned a couple of things. We have a few minutes, left to just kind of talk through. Just as a businessman, as a PNC agency owner, top 1% of a big box captive, company. What's some just general business wisdom that you could drop on the people?
I'd say invest in yourself. And what that means is educate yourself. Obviously everyone who's watching this, right, is doing so because they want to educate themselves, right? But I take, we all have some, we all may be busy, but we've got some downtime, right? Maybe it's driving to work, driving home after work, when you're getting ready in the morning, you're in the shower. You've got these times where you can choose, and we all have these moments where I just want some brainless entertainment, right? But you have a choice to use that time wisely, and to use that time to improve your skills, whether that's management skills, leadership skills, sales skills, just human interaction skills, right? Whatever your strengths are that you want to build on, or weaknesses that you want to overcome. And so I spend a lot of my time trying to educate myself, and hopefully it trickles down to my team. And it's also helped shape the vision for my agency and the type of business that I want to have. You go into business and it becomes your baby, and it can be whatever you want. And it takes it takes passion, and it takes courage to sometimes make hard decisions. But I still consider myself an infant in my process of trying to figure out everything that I want to do and get better at things. So step one is educate. There's so much information on YouTube if you look for it. And I wish that existed when I first got into the business. I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. Even having a great mentor, there was no YouTube for me to go to. And now you can go on and there's a wealth of information to learn from. So that's a big one, is seek out the audiobook, seek out the podcast, right? Just like this one, and learn from the best. So I was taught, playing sports, I was taught all the time, if you want to be really good, look to the best and emulate them, right? It's not a coincidence that Kobe Bryant's jump shot looks just like Michael Jordan, right? So we have the opportunity now to seek out the best of the best in the business, whether that's insurance specific or just sales related or management related, and you can learn from them. And so, that's probably my biggest advice to anyone in the business is the information is there. The resources are there for you to become whoever you want to become.
What about any tactical sort of, things that you've implemented in your business? I think I heard you say something about the 4 disciplines of execution on our prep call. How's that impacted you guys, and what is that?
So 4 Disciplines of Execution, an incredible book. I highly, highly recommend anybody pick that up, especially if they're in a leadership position. And what that does is it helps everybody, not just the manager, but the team, literally focus on the most important goals. So they call it a WIG. It stands for Wildly Important Goal. And the idea is that, if you've got too many different things to focus on, the ultimate result is that you have no focus on anything, right? And so you want to choose 1 to 2 things that become your non-negotiable priorities on a daily basis, right? And hopefully whatever that focus is, if you can reach that goal, it'll have a trickle-down effect on the other types of goals that you have, right? And so, but having a goal is not good enough. So what this book teaches you is set your goal, find out what your most important goal is as a company, as a team, as an individual, and then figure out what are the leading indicators of what's going to get you there, right? So in the property and casualty world, I'll give you an example of how the 4 disciplines of execution would apply to us, right? So the ultimate goal is to make a sale. To make a sale, you have to quote somebody. To quote somebody, you need to speak to somebody. To speak to somebody, you have to make enough outgoing calls potentially to reach them, right? So it's just math, right? So if you're putting the focus on the result, right, that's not going to get you in. Anyone can say, well, I'd like to write 100 policy a month. Awesome. What gets you there? So then what happens is you say, okay, here's the goal, but my leading indicator is, and I've done the math is, all right, if I make 200 calls, I'm going to make this many contacts. Of those contacts, I normally will convince this many people to get quotes. Cody, you know all about this. I've seen you talk about this before, right? This is not news to a lot of us, right? But the idea is that now that you know what your leading indicators are, that becomes your focus for the day, right? And so for my team, when they come in, they literally have a daily sheet that's blank every single day that has a list of not only what the most important activities are, but it's tracking how many with a little bit of notes. And what they know is if they fill this sheet out 100%, right, with the amount of quotes that they should be getting, the amount of conversations that they should be having, what they know is if the sheet is filled out, they're going to get a sale because it shows that the activity is there, right? So I said, don't focus on the sales. I want you to focus on the activity. If this sheet is filled out, all the sales will be there. All the money will come in, right? And you get there by speaking to as many people as humanly possible, whether it's outgoing calls, whether it's, working on your network, getting incoming calls, whatever you got to do, but you have to have a certain number of conversations per day. And then if you're having those conversations and you have this daily sheet in front of you, that's kind of giving you the focus of what you should be, eventually talking about with customers, then all the good stuff is going to come by. So let's not focus on how many auto policies I'm going to sell today. Focus on how many auto conversations am I going to have today, and do whatever it takes, outgoing activity to get to that point. So changing that focus, it's incredible. Once we started doing that, the numbers started going up.
It's weird how that works. This sounds consistent to some other things I've heard.
Totally.
It's interesting how all these guys we talk to that are in the 1% of their industry or company or whatever all kind of say about the same thing.
Yeah, there's always some structure. You probably have, meetings with your team on a regular basis. I mean, there always seems to be like structures and things we do, and it's just everybody's like just P&Ls and tracking stuff, knowing your numbers. Like, it's just super impressive, and you always hear it, from successful people in our industry.
Yeah.
No doubt. What you never hear from a professional is that they wing anything, right? Everything's done with purpose. There's a plan. You have to have a plan. And so, and what I tell my team, they've probably heard me say it a million times, and they hate when I say it at this point, is I say, if you don't control your day will control you. You can't just go into it saying, well, whatever happens, I'll make the most of it. no one that's been highly successful has ever gone into a day thinking, well, I'll just make the most of whatever happens. You go in, you have a plan, and you have a formula. And if the formula works, you don't change it, right? So there's no one in the kitchen at Chick-fil-A saying, you know what, I think I'll add a few extra ingredients to the chicken today. Let's mess with that. No, they have a winning formula and they just fry it at the same time. Same temperature, same ingredients every single time, right? And so you don't have to you don't have to fix what's not broken. So you figure out a formula that works and then you go with it. I think you just got to be consistent.
Yeah, no doubt.
You don't wing it, you wig it now, right?
Wig it. There it is. What is it?
Wildly important goal?
Important goal.
Yes, that's right.
Do you have any other questions for him?
And of course, everything I'm saying, there's absolutely nothing original about anything I'm saying. It's just a culmination of, what I've learned, and like I said, and trying to help myself and learn from people that are doing better than me. These are the themes, having a process, having consistency. You see it across, by having a plan, you see it across the board.
And super humble all at the same time, gosh, that's good. Dude, this has been better. I don't think you realize how much value you've dropped today. This has been really, really good. And something you just said too, like, I've always given Brian Tracy a lot of credit because I always listened to a lot of his books early on. Now I give, Brian Tracy and Grant Cardone a lot of credit, and so I'm just like you, man. If we're not, moving forward, we're probably not staying still, so it's like, okay, how can we consistently get better? How can we learn from other people? How can we watch stuff like this to be, like JR?
That's good, man. Dude, I appreciate you joining us. I mean, is there anything else you want to get into? Or, I mean, we're about that time.
I mean, we're going to have you on again at some point and do a separate video or something because this has been really, really good. Thank you so much. Dude,
Absolutely.
My Success Society needs to hear this.
Yeah, why don't you invite him,
Let's
man?
hook it up.
This
We're going to get Andy on it. Thank you so much for sharing, for caring, for coming on, for everything you do. Seriously. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate the invitation.
I bet you could even go deeper if we gave you an exclusive group of people that said, look, no holds barred, just, let's challenge these guys, because we have a Success Society group of people that pay to be a part of this type of stuff. And is it monthly that we do a coaching call?
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I told you when I said Jerry, he's like, who's this PNC guy? I'm like, dude, he's a stud, man.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, well.
This is good.
So,
I didn't even know your story that well. I just knew, we've chatted a few times. You know what I mean? So that's good.
Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your humility, your wisdom, knowledge bombs you're dropping. Thanks for everything. It's no wonder we work together, because as you're talking about how like you do business, I noticed that like I feel like we do business in a very similar way. So it's no, we started out talking about PNC calls, and before you know it, now we're doing recruiting projects together just because we were just talking through some things, and I can see why that resonated with you and why you jumped on board. Because we have a lot of likes. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your partnership, and everything's, it's been really good.
Keep being a beast, bro.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Hope you guys have a good afternoon. Thanks for joining in. Have a killer week and weekend at that. So talk to you guys soon.